Okay. My next guest, a gentleman who's been called the Arkansas Magician. He's head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, who will be playing UCLA in the Fiesta Bowl on Christmas Day. It's going to be aired here on NBC starting at 12:30 Eastern Time. He's one of the most popular figures in college athletics, and it's a pleasure to have him here. Would you welcome, please, Coach Lou Holtz. Now, let me tell you about this. The rest of you around the country have never seen this. Razorbacks, right?
Razorbacks.
Are hogs, and I'm going to have everybody in Arkansas mad at me because a couple of fans, Charlie and Bertha Chu from Helena, I guess it is, Helena, Arkansas, sent this. That's the Razorback helmet, right?
That's the Razorback helmet. They're wearing it at the games, and when I first went to...
That's a weird-looking thing.
When I first went to the University of Arkansas, you know, the first time I came in contact with the university, I watched them on TV in about 1964. My initial reaction was, how in the world can anybody wear those stupid hats? And, you know, and then when I went to the University of Arkansas, they have that call, Woo Pig Suey, and it's fantastic when 55,000 people call it. Now, if things aren't going well, sometimes they yell Woo Pig Fooey, and that isn't real good. That's bad luck.
Calling hogs, they go, Suey. I mean, it's a real yell,
I'll
isn't
tell you what, I think I can recruit you.
Can you
do
pick
that
it up and play for
you do it well.
Yeah. You are going to play UCLA coming up in the Fiesta Bowl, and I suppose all the sports writers are saying what shape is the team in and so forth. I would think being a coach has got to be one of the most demanding things because I know how fans are. It's short for fanatic. And if a coach doesn't produce, the fans are wonderful as long as the team is winning. And all of a sudden, they lose a couple of games, and I've never seen people get so vicious as they do, whether it's college or pro. Do you find that they really get angry if you have troubles?
Oh, yeah. You know, you get a lifetime contract. A lifetime contract for a coach means that if your team's ahead and moving the ball in the third quarter, they can't fire you. Other than that, you're free game for basically anybody. But, you know, the fans, they play an instrumental part in the game also, and without them, there wouldn't be any athletics. And, you know, if they buy a ticket and they go in there and they want to criticize and second guess, you know, that's fine. That's just all part of it.
I've heard the alumni sometimes get so angry they would actually call the coach in the middle of the morning or sometimes and wake them up and...
Well, we have a listed phone number, John.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a coach, and nobody calls us. Of course, we have 4 children. You know, they can't get through. You know,
that's right. They're
sitting there trying to get through.
How do you... You read all the time about coaches motivating players and the famous halftime pep talks and so forth, especially people like Newt Rockne would win one for the Gipper, and they would get the guys so charged up that they would rush out and just turn a miracle, you know, in the second half. Are there certain tricks? Are the kids so sophisticated now that they can see maybe some kind of the psychology working? How do you get them really, if you're having a bad day? What do you do?
What do you do when you have a bad day?
You kind of raise your energy level a little bit, and you try to... you know, just bring it up a little bit? Basically,
I feel if you're honest with people, you'll have no problem at all communicating with them. If you feel like ranting or raving or saying something that's deep down inside, that's the only way to go. Now, you know, people said like at the Orange Bowl last year, boy, your team was enthusiastic. They came out on that field, and boy, I knew they'd win that football game. And what'd you say to them? I just told them, man, Oklahoma has a great football team. Last 11 of you out of this locker room door going to have to start the football game. I tell you, like, tore the door down to get out there. They didn't want to play Oklahoma.
The last 11 guys out started.
Well, you just, you know, you try to be as honest with them as you possibly can. But, you know, in giving a pep talk or anything else, we try to tell them what they have to do. But I find the greatest motivating factor is praise. On my desk, I have a sign that says, make me feel good and I'll produce. And, you know, the $1 Million Club, Johnny, put out a book on family. And I'm gone an awful lot from home. We have 4 children. I feel more fortunate than a man that has $4 million because I don't want any more. You know, they got $4 million trying to make 5, but I don't want any 5 children. Happy with 4, and they're all boys but 2, and I'm proud of that fact. But, yeah. You know, they put out this thing. You don't get a chance to spend much time with the children. You know, why are you gone all the time? Why aren't you here? Why aren't you going to the basketball game, the PTA meeting? And, you know, you have to pay a sacrifice. But in any event, with 4 children, it's difficult to give them all the time they need. And this $1 Million book said that, you know, we take a child and, like, once a month we'll say, okay, this is Luann's day. Luann gets to pick out where we eat and everything else, and you sit around the table, and after it's over, everybody has to say any positive things they can think about Luann. And then the next month it might be Skip's turn. Well, that's the same thing in football. Like, we're down at the Orange Bowl, and, you know, the people have self-pity. They have some self-doubts about themselves. We just have people try to praise one another, etc. The biggest thing about motivation is self-pity. Everybody wants to feel sorry for themselves. I'd love to sit here and tell you all about the problems I have, but you aren't really interested. I'd love to tell you about my back, but I'm not interested in your problems either. So, you know, but yeah.
Because my bag is really sure.
But
You ever try to tell somebody about your back, and before you can get it out, you think that's a bad back? Let me show you a bad back.
Oh, that's self-pity, you know, where things aren't going well, and you want to sit around and feel sorry for yourself, and the fans complain. You love to tell about all your problems, but I'd like to tell a story about the blind man that was being led down the street by a seeing-eye dog, and the blind man put all the faith and confidence he had in that dog, and they came to a corner of a busy intersection. The dog crossed against the light, and the blind man didn't know what else to do. He said, follow the dog across. And as I said, it was a busy intersection. Cars swerved to avoid him, brakes squealed, horns honked, but miraculously, the blind man and the dog made it across the street unharmed. When he got on the other side, he reached in his pocket and pulled out a dog biscuit to give to his dog, and an innocent bystander watched the whole thing transpire. When he ran up to the blind man and said, sir, that dog crossed against the light and almost got you killed, and the last thing you want to do is give him a dog biscuit. And the blind man smiled and said, I know he did. He said, you see, sir, I'm giving him a dog biscuit so I can find out where his mouth is. I'm going to kick him right in the god dog's tail.
First, you got to get their attention.
What you try to do is you try to praise. Now, if that doesn't work, you have to be like the blind
dog
man.
biscuit.
That's right.
Didn't you have a quote once that I thought was wonderful? Somebody asked you something about how the season was going, and you said, well, sometimes the light at the end of the tunnel is an oncoming train.
Well, you know, it just people say, what do you see light at the end of the tunnel? I said,
Right.
sometimes that's an oncoming train. They say, well, did you turn the corner today? I said, well, every time I've turned the corner, there's another train. You know, people come up to you all the time and say, hey, give me a one-liner. You know, it's impossible to give one-liner. That's what I call conversation stopper, where everybody's talking at the same time at a cocktail party, and somebody will say, my birthday's next Wednesday. Boy, you could hear a long conversation. Or you drive along in a car when you're a youngster, and they said, hey, I need money for gas. Boy, there wouldn't be anybody saying anything for a long time. Well, that's a conversation stopper.
What's the difference between coaching college ball? Now, you had one season with the Jets,
Yes, sir.
which was not the high point of your life.
Well, no, it definitely wasn't, nor
Yeah.
was it the highlight of the Jets life.
I didn't say that, Lou. But is there a big difference in coaching college youngsters and the guys when they get in the pro?
I think about $60,000 a year.
That's a big difference.
No, I'd say this. I cannot say anything negative about professional football.
Right.
The management of the Jets, the players, and everybody else was super. And, you know, but professional football is not meant for me. There's only two things I've ever wanted to be in this world. One thing, I never wanted to be real rich. I never wanted to have so much money I worried about losing it. The other thing I never wanted to be was real poor either. I never wanted to worry where the next meal was coming from. But the few talents that God gave me are not endowed for professional football. I'm more of a teacher. I'm more of a fundamentalist. There, it's, you know, with the draft and personnel and strategy. There are great coaches in professional football. And it fills a very big void in our society, and I follow it all the time. But
Well, there are a lot of good coaches in college ball, and you happen to be one of them, too.
well, you're kind, but I was doing a disservice to the New York Jets by remaining professional football because I wasn't happy and I was out of my element. Now, you can either stay there and fake it, or you can do what you think deep down inside is the proper thing to do. And I made that decision, and I don't regret it, and I know they don't.
We have something in common that I really didn't know about until I started to read about you a little bit, that you do amateur magic also.
Very poorly.
And I started as a kid doing that as a hobby.
Well-
And would you go out and entertain? You don't entertain the guys at halftime.
No, I don't ever. Well, you know,
Hi, guys, watch this. Take a card. You know. They got to go out and play.
well, you know, it started out with magic. You know, just there's a trick that I enjoy doing.
I asked Lou, I said, come on, would you do a little something tonight?
Okay, there's a trick that Doug Henning made famous, and I tried to get in to see Doug Henning, rehearsal today,
Right.
but I couldn't get in there. I guess he's going to do a special
That's
on
right, he's got a magic
NBC. And
special.
he is really super, and you know, this happens to be a newspaper from the Miami Herald. I just happen to have it because we have the greatest fans in the world. It's like any other newspaper you can see, and you know, there isn't anything real magic about this, but you know, it's just like football is really an exciting game, and but people have a tendency to tear you down the newspaper. You talk about the fans, the newspaper can too. Basically, the thing I do is I just try to think the story about the accountant, you know, for 17, every day, you know, for 17 years, he went to work same time, came back same time, got on the subway at 5:15, got home at about 6:30, put the dinner on the table 6:45, 7:15, did the dishes, 8 o'clock, did the house cleaning, 9:15, started doing the washing and ironing, and at 10 o'clock, he tucked his wife in bed good night. Did this for 17 years. One night, he left the office at 5 o'clock, turned into a bar at 5:05, had his first drink at 5:12, his second at 5:18, and by approximately 7:23, he's completely inebriated. And he got involved in a poker game, and he didn't get home till about 4:30 in the morning. And he walked in, his wife was waiting for him. She said, "Where have you been?" He said, "Just a minute, young lady. I want to acquaint you with the fact of life you're overlooking." He said, "It'd behoove you to know I just lost you in a poker game." She said, "Well, how'd you do that?" And he said, "Well, it wasn't easy folding with 4 aces." Well, there's nothing in this
How
world,
about that,
basically,
folks?
it's very easy. Anything you do is still the... Or nothing. I know. Good move. I know you're wondering. I know you're wondering how I did that. I'd like to tell you briefly how I did that. Perfectly, I thought.
Perfectly.
That's not really important.
Too bad you have no pattern with that either. We'll be right back after this. We had a fashion show for you, so stay where you are.